if you fight with a bunch of different weapons, sure, it means any magic weapon you find is going to be useful to you, but you're probably not going to have multiple of them. You're just going to have the one, unless you're a greedy bastard and you're taking all of the magic weapons.
I'm Nerdarchy Ted.
And I'm Nerdarchy Dave.
Welcome to Nerdarchy. For nerds, by nerds. All right, looks like we're going to do another feat evaluation system this time. Today we're going to look for the Eldritch Knight for Fighter for 5th edition Dungeons & Dragons.
All right, so first and foremost, I think one of the things you have to point out with subclasses like the Eldritch Knight also would apply to the Blade Singer as well, is the fact that they are very stat intensive classes, right? Indeed. If you're going to be an Eldritch Knight and you want to be effective, you're going to either need a high dexterity or strength. Mm-hmm. Probably not going to be able to do both.
Right. You're
going to want a good constitution if you're up and getting into the mix of things and having people trying to wail on you. But then you're a spellcaster based off intelligence, so you kind of need that as well.
Indeed. So 3 stats heavy for a class. You're not going to be able to max all of them out, even with the fighter getting the most amount of feats or, ASIs in 5th edition.
It's going to be difficult. Maybe if you're human and you roll your stats and you roll really well, you can finagle some stuff. But if the sky's the limit and we don't have to worry about ASIs and we were to take feats, these are the ones that we're kind of looking at.
Before we go over the feats that we feel are the top choices for the Eldritch Knight, if you like these videos like it, as well as all the awesome content over on nerdarchy.com, why not come check us out over on Patreon and support us over there?
Articles like study up on your 5e D&D evocation spells, because that's one of the schools you're going to be casting if you're an Eldritch Knight.
All right, so let's get into our list of what feats you should be gearing your Eldritch Knight towards. What's up first, Dave?
All right, looking at the list, I'm going to look at Warcaster first. I feel like if you're going to go anywhere, this is the one you want. Prereq, you have to be able to cast at least one spell. You have practice casting spells in the midst of combat, learning techniques that grant you the following benefits. Get advantage on Constitution saving throws that you make to maintain concentration when you take damage. You can perform somatic components of spells even when you have weapons or a shield in one or both hands. And when a hostile creature's movements provoke an opportunity attack from you, you can use your reaction to cast a spell at that creature rather than making an opportunity attack. The spell must have a casting time of 1 action and it must target only that creature.
Yeah, so no casting fireballs as a reaction. Shucks.
Darn. But as long as you only target that creature with whatever spell you're casting, so I would argue you could get away with like a Scorching Ray.
Oh, sure. All right, so the next one up is one of a series that I happen to really enjoy, and that's the feat Fae Touched. You increase your intelligence, wisdom, or charisma score by 1, so it's a half feat, and you get to choose, so I totally love that aspect. You learn the spell Misty Step, and 1 first-level spell of your choice. It has to be from the Divination or Enchantment School of Magic. You can cast each of these spells without expending a spell slot, and you can get to do it once a day for each of them without using a spell slot. But you can use your other spell slots to cast either of these spells, which I love that format for these kinds of things, because not only does it give you more spells, it gives you more castings. To me, this is just a great choice. Enchantment is something that, you might not get a lot of. Divination, I don't think you get any of as an Eldritch Knight, so you can technically step outside of where you're typically getting.
Yeah, Eldritch Knight, as Eldritch Knight, you only can get Invocation, Abjuration, and then you have certain levels where you can just pick any spell, so you only get so many of those, so that definitely gives you access to spells you would not normally get access to. And also, Eldritch Knight doesn't get a lot of spell casting, so that beefs up their spell casting, gives them more options. It's a way to increase your intelligence score, which is going to be important to you. So all in all, it's really good. Those kind of feats are super awesome, after Warcaster is almost required
Sure.
as an Eldritch Knight because of the somatic components, being able to be used in conjunction with using your shield and your weapon. It's always a big pain in the ass when you're trying to gish with spellcasting and fighting.
Sure. But for that Eldritch Knights, Misty Step is going to allow you to either get into areas you might not be able to, get out of areas that are problematic. It's just all around useful for an Eldritch Knight who needs to be able to have tactical control of a battlefield.
Yeah, absolutely. For the same reason, some of the same reasons, we also have Shadow Touched on this list. Your exposure to Shadowfell's magic has changed, granting you the following benefits. Increase your intelligence, wisdom, charisma score by 1, maximum 20. You learn the invisibility spell, and one first level spell of your choice. The first level spell must be from illusion or necromancy schools of magic. You can cast each of these spells without expending a spell slot. Once you cast either of these spells in this way, you can't cast the spell in that way again until you finish the long rest. It's on your list, the same as the other one. So again, it's another fantastic one because invisibility tactically is super helpful in combat. Getting access to illusion and necromancy, which you normally wouldn't,
Right.
also can be super useful. False life, anybody?
Oh yeah. So same exact reasons why I like Fae Touched is exactly why I like Shadow Touched. I think both of those for any kind of spellcaster, they are just solid gets, because you're gonna have the option of spells of choice that might fall outside the realm of where you could technically choose from. So really, really good things. So the next one we have up here is Fighting Initiate. Prerequisite, you just have to be proficient with a martial weapon. Fighters have no problem there. Your martial training has helped you develop a particular style of fighting. As a result, you learn one fighting style option of your choice from the fighter class. If you already have a style, the one you choose must be different. When you reach a level that grants an ability score improvement, you can replace the fighting style. For this one, we like the blind fighting, which might not be your first choice as an Eldritch Knight when you take that fighting style as a fighter. So this is one is going to give you an extra one outside that realm, and I would say choose blind fighting so that if something's invisible, if you're in darkness, you're going to have the ability to see what's within 10 feet of you.
Well, and not only that, you can pull the Devil's Sight Warlock trick, right? Where you cast darkness on yourself. It's going to take a while for you to get that spell, but you could eventually get it. You'd have to pick that as one of your spells you can't normally take, but it would be super useful. It's very tactical. You could also take Fog Cloud as another option. You're gonna have to take that as one of your special ones, but it's a first level spell, super useful, and it's also gonna have some utility beyond that. And also, like, devils can see in darkness, so so the Warlock is like, haha, you can't see me.
Yes, I can.
Yes, I can. But Fog Cloud, on the other hand, works perfectly well. So for a melee Eldritch Knight, that would work really well. So next up, we have 3 weapon feats. And the reason why we're putting these all lumped together is they are Crusher, Piercer, and Slasher. And generally you're only going to be using one of the types of weapons. So, there's really hardly a reason why you would ever just take them all, right? Unless you just want to be that kind of fighter and I just use any weapon.
Yeah, and don't get me wrong, that style can be a lot of fun and plenty of reward choice, but for the Eldritch Knight, where, as we already mentioned, stat heavy, feats are a premium, so you're probably not going to be taking all of them and playing a really solidly built Eldritch Knight.
Yeah, that's for sure. So Crusher is, you've practiced the art of crushing your enemies, granting you the following benefits. Increase the strength or constitution by 1, max of 20. Once per turn, you hit a creature with an attack that deals bludgeoning damage. You can move it 5 feet to an unoccupied space, provided the target is no more than one size larger than you. When you score a critical hit that deals bludgeoning damage to a creature, attack rolls against that creature are made with advantage until the start of your next turn. So you get some control factor in there. It's a half feat, and then also, you have the ability to kind of debuff or buff your allies.
Yeah, Crusher is a good solid feat if you happen to be playing with a bludgeoning weapon. I'm going to go over Piercer. You have achieved penetrating precision in combat, granting you the following benefits. Increase your strength or dex by 1 to a maximum of 20. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with an attack that deals piercing damage, you can re-roll one of the attack's damage dice, and you must use the new roll. When you score a critical hit that deals piercing damage to a creature, you can roll one additional die when determining the extra piercing damage the target takes. So this is just overall increasing your damage you do when you use a piercing weapon. It's not about control. When you use a piercing weapon, you hit harder. That's just how it goes.
Slasher, you've learned where to cut to have the greatest result, granting you the following benefits. Strength or dex by 1 increase, and max of 20, obviously. Once per turn, when you hit a creature with an attack dealing slashing damage, you can reduce the speed of the target by 10 feet until the start of your next turn. When you score a critical hit deals slashing damage to a creature, you grievously wound it, and until the start of the next turn, the target has disadvantage on all attack rolls, so you're debuffing them and also debuffing them with a control effect as well.
Yeah, so all in all, I love these feats. I think they're solid for any fighter that is predominantly like picking a weapon type, which generally I think most fighters I've seen do. But I mean, it's not going to be all. I think there's some really great solid feat choices here.
Well, the D&D kind of pigeonholes you into that a little bit too, because it's part of what, one of the considerations is magic items. What kind of magic weapon am I going to get, right? And so you're going to want the magic weapon that you tend to fight with. So if you fight with a bunch of different weapons, sure, it means any magic weapon you find is going to be useful to you, but you're probably not going to have multiple of them. You're just going to have the one, unless you're a greedy bastard and you're taking all of the magic weapons.
All right, so we all know that, fighters, Eldritch Knights, you're going to do some heroic stuff in your adventuring. And if you want to spice up those heroics, why not pick up hit dice to heroics? Sometimes heroes need to dig deeper and become a little more heroic. From Hit Dice to Heroics is a supplement for 5th edition. There are over 40 options for spending hit dice other than regaining hit points. Players can begin tapping into these options as soon as they hit level 2. Your character class and sometimes your subclass determine what options might be available to you. Channel your very vitality into arcane or divine might if you're a spellcaster. A barbarian can channel even more of their mighty totem animal. Fighters are inspired to even deadlier skill with their blade. These are just some of the possibilities found within. There are at least 3 new options for each class.
Let us know what kind of feats you're taking for your Eldritch Knight down in the comments below. Share your cool stories with the Nerdarchy community.
While you're down there, don't forget to like, share, subscribe, even click on that notification bell so you don't miss a single video.
Quick reminder, Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays we drop new videos here on the channel, but you can't wait till then. No worries, we've got you covered. Up here there's a card you can check out. Who's the best Gish class? Blade Singer versus Eldritch Knight.
So until next time, stay nerdy.